You're listening to the Greeks Gridiron. Now here's your host, Ethan Haristadoulou.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Greeks Gridiron. I am Ethan Haristadoulou, and welcome to another edition of UFL News Desk, covering a couple of things that cropped up last week, and I'm finally having the chance to sit down and talk to you all about them and kind of share my thoughts and opinions on both these pieces of news. I invite you all to do the same in the comments section down below, and as always, as I've recently been mentioning, if you would like to help support the channel, I recently partnered with both Fanatics and NFLshop.com. If you plan on buying anything, whatever it may be, consider using my links and or the QR code above my shoulder here, and it will help support me in potentially getting you guys a promo code for discounts. That being said, diving into the news, we'll start with the earlier piece of news first, and that is the UFL officially releasing their app last week, Tuesday, March 19th. And I've got to say, pretty impressed. It's available on Android and iOS. Happy to see we got them both at the same time here. You can pick your favorite team, and it kind of dresses up the app in that manner. It'll open up to your favorite team's page every time you open up said app if you choose to do so. It's planning on having real-time stats, scores, things like that as the game happens and updates, which is a really nice addition to that as well, similar to other sports apps. And on top of that, you can find, your typical features, season stats, player stats, team stats, standings, highlights, all that stuff, you name it. It looks like it's going to be a very traditional sports app. And honestly, I've got to say, just off the jump, it operates a little bit better, or honestly, I would say significantly better at this point with the amount of time I've had to play around with it, better than the NFL app. So I've got to say, hats off to you guys, UFL. You guys built together a really nice app. Overall, very clean, very user-friendly. It functions as intended, and it has a very sleek, minimalist, but still informational design to it. And, they have the tickets implemented into the app as well. Very easy to find. You have a link to the shop. Very easy to find. Like, everything is designed very intuitively, and I think that's key to a really good sports app, especially when it's league specific, is it doesn't need to have 100 bells and whistles and be just overly crowded with what you can do in it. You want it to be very straightforward, and it also has a very sleek design, and it's very easy to find what it is that you're looking for. There's nothing in there that I thought, okay, well, where is this? Like, I'm not really digging for anything. It's all very easy to find and right there in your face. That being said, two things. Firstly, curiosity. The one thing you can't currently find is obviously season stats and whatnot. Kind of makes sense. App just dropped. Season hasn't started yet. We'll probably get that update within the beginning of the first week of the season. I'm assuming probably sometime this week as well. So I'm just a little bit curious to see how that stuff's all going to look. I kind of would have liked the app to launch with it, so I at least have an idea as to what I'm looking for, and I know what I'm looking for when I go to look for it going through this weekend's games, which I can't believe we're 5 days away from actual UFL football. But it's not a big deal, just kind of something that I thought about as I was going through the app. It's the one thing you currently can't find at the moment. Outside of that, I do have one really big critique, and it has got to change. It has to change, and that's got to be the roster pages. This app, if I was to give it a grade out of like 100, gets like a 90 out of 100, 92 out of 100. It's very close to being a fantastic app for what it's supposed to do. But my God, if you go to the roster pages, it is ugly. It's sorted by last name rather than like player position. And on top of that, or like numerically would even make a little bit more sense, but I would much prefer to have the option to sort in a few different ways, whether it's by name, by position, by number. Like, I wish there was a few options there. But on top of that, it's literally like 4 lines of text where it's like player name, position, and a couple of things about them, whatever it may be. And they don't really separate themselves. Like, there's no identifier. There's no difference between the text. Like, it's literally 4 straight lines of just black text in regards to the player, their name, position, and then from there, there's no actual image of the player as well. Like, you're going to tell me there's no headshots of these guys sitting anywhere, that the UFL hasn't sat down and done that? Like, it's not some drawn out process. You find a white wall and you get somebody to take photos. It doesn't even have to be professional. You could get a really good phone camera, line some people up in front of a white wall, and boom, you have your headshots. It does not have to be that complicated. All you really need is just some good angled lighting, and you're pretty much good to go. Especially, we're talking a spring football league here. Like, they don't have to be professional headshots. It could literally just be straight up photos from someone's phone in front of a white wall, and you could be good to go. But it's just very not fleshed out in the way that I think it should should be. Like I can't like click on the player to learn about them or anything like that, which I guess I get it, but it would just be nice if it was made to pop a little bit better and just easier to sort through. It's a mess. It's a mess. That is like my one complaint. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but when I clicked on that, because I was really excited to look at like what the rosters are going to look like and everything in the app, and I got to that and I was like, oh no, this is not good at all. I do not like this. And I feel like that's been a trend with the way they've sorted rosters, as it's been by last name for a while now. Give me the option. Just give me the option. I want to be able to sort through. Like it's not some advanced sort of coding by any means. Like we're just talking the option to sort by name, position, and or number. That definitely could use some reworking. But other than that, beautiful app. Very happy with the way it came out. The second thing that I'm going to talk about here is going to be a radio partnership that the UFL here, and I'm looking at Sirius XM here is why I'm saying that. Sirius XM and the UFL have officially partnered, and this was announced this past Thursday, March 21st. Sirius XM has become the official broadcast partner over the airwaves for all of the UFL games for this season. Fox Sports will be airing their games on Fox Sports Radio, which is Sirius XM Channel 83. Games broadcast by ESPN and their affiliates are going to be on ESPN Extra, which is Sirius XM Channel 81. Channels are available on both, in the car nationwide. You can also get them on the app as well. And it's to Sirius XM subscribers. I'll start off by saying, before I dive into the negative on this, I'm very happy that the UFL is doing what they can to push the availability of these games out in every shape and fashion. It does not hurt having these games available in more places, be it visually or audibly. That being said, I don't think this is a negative, but where you chose to put the games is absolutely a negative. I hate, and this is maybe just a personal thing, I hate Sirius XM. I've gotten a handful of free trials with them, be it through vehicle purchases or like a phone purchase that for whatever reason also came with Sirius XM for like X amount of months for free. I absolutely cannot stand them, because if you use that free trial and you do not sign back up, it is borderline harassment, the amount of letters, emails, and things that you get from them leading, not even after the cancellation of your free subscription, leading up to it, like months in advance and then beyond afterwards. And it's a barrage. Like Sirius XM would probably be a far more profitable company if they just stopped sending people the amount of letters that they did. I can't imagine what the expenses are on postage, letters, and paper for Sirius XM is. It's got to be astronomical, because the way I get bombarded, I'm assuming, is the way everyone else gets bombarded. And there has got to be a serious amount of dollars being put into just that sort of thing. That being said, outside of that, I'm also not the biggest fan of the quality of satellite radio, especially Sirius XM. Some of their stations just sound awful, and you may or may not be a fan of the sound of AM radio. If you like it, great for you. At times, it does not sound good. When I've had Sirius XM radio and I've listened to talk shows and things like that, there is a very clear, distinct sound that I don't know why, but does not come through very clear. And it's not like my car is very new. It's a 2022 model, so it's not old by any means. My radio is not old or anything like that. It's not the area that I live in, because I have very easy access to all that kind of stuff. I'm not in a remote area by any means, but it does not sound great. And I'm a little bit concerned as to the quality that it's going to come out as on these stations, because I've listened to Fox Sports Radio and I've listened to ESPN Extra on Sirius XM when I had those free trials. Wasn't super impressed. On top of that, being that Fox Sports has multiple partnerships with local markets and just in general as a national syndicate, I don't really understand why it had to be rolled in and split between ESPN and Fox, when Fox could literally have just pushed these games out over the air for free to anyone that Fox Sports Radio broadcasts to on the weekends. Because as somebody who lives in a very major market radio area, Boston, that being said, we get Fox Sports Radio, Westwood One, I think, is another affiliate that hangs around their CBS, depending on the station that you're listening to. They all nationally syndicate shows during the weekends when things aren't going on. there is very ample opportunity, especially with these games being stuck to Saturdays and Sundays, for these games to be broadcast for free. And I'm pretty sure those radio stations would have jumped on the opportunity to air games for free that are going to bring in attention. It's better than listening to a, weekend talk show that maybe doesn't do that great because it's a bunch of the randoms just kind of thrown together that aren't on the main programs during the week. That being said, I'm not advocating for taking away opportunities for those weekend people. I just don't like the idea of putting your games behind a paywall. It doesn't really make sense to me, and I understand they're in the business of making money, and I get it. But at the same time, I'm not a fan. This is me more ranting than anything else. And I'm going to sandwich this by saying it is a great thing that we're getting more ways to be able to consume the UFL going into this season here. Very crucial that as many people as possible get exposed to this. But I think by putting the games behind a paywall for the listening audience that may not be able to watch the games for whatever the reason may be on those weekends, but will be traveling in their vehicles, it hurts that you are not just making it a free option where it's as simple as just changing the station to whatever it's supposed to be on for the Fox Sports, I'm forgetting the word right now. I literally worked in radio and I'm forgetting the word. The station that will push through Fox Sports from in their local area. It's a little bit disappointing to me that it's not a free option and they decided to go the paywall route of Sirius XM. And it's not like Sirius XM is expensive by any means. It's just that it's another thing that you have to subscribe to, more money coming out of your wallet. It doesn't make sense to me when the idea is exposure. I get you need to make money, but the idea is we need ease of access and as much exposure to this league as possible. Putting it behind a paywall doesn't make sense to me. I'm glad it's being put out in more areas, just not thrilled with the direction of it. But that's my 2 cents on the app. Fantastic job. Just fix the roster page for me, please. And then on top of that, great to see that the UFL is going to be broadcast over the airways. I'm excited for that. Obviously, for those of you who have Sirius XM, feel free to let me know how that's going if you get to this video, maybe at some point into the season. Would love to hear how it sounds, how it goes through for you. But that being said, that's it for me. I appreciate you all. I'll see you all next time. Have a good one.